They did not care about inner city crime, poor neighborhoods of predominantly ethnic residents. They didn't do any of that. They didn't care to address the underlying problem. Welcome to another episode of the Carpe Fide podcast, where if the shoe fits, you wear it.
And if the truth hurts, you bear it.
I am Justin Gruber.
And I am Jesse Gruber.
And today we hope you will seize the faith. Welcome to another episode of the Carpe Fide podcast.
That's right. You're with us here for the first time, but this is about the fifth time trying to record this.
But you'll never know. Anywho, we're back. It's been a long time. We've been sharing with you our Vignettes of Valor series that we did at our men's conference.
The VOV?
Yeah, you've been tickled with the biblical teachings of Alex Rodriguez and John Cooper. They brought the word really well, so hopefully you've enjoyed that. Whether a godly man or godly woman, there was much to glean.
I've heard that there has been no other conference where both A-Rod and John Cooper have been keynote speakers.
That's right. Where else could you unite a Hall of Famer from the Yankees and also one of the greatest Christian metal, I guess, Christian rock?
Rock? I would call it rock.
You definitely would call it a Christian rock lead singers of all time. It's just not possible. So Johnny Cooper and A-Rod on the same podcast. So go back and give that a listen. You'll be shocked. I guarantee it, based on this hype that we've built. Tonight we have a special guest to talk about our two stories that we're going to be talking about from the news. We're going to be looking at stories. Look, it's been so long. There's so many stories, but we're going to drill down on these two. They're pretty current, and I think they just highlight some of the things that are undergirding our culture in deep evil and confusion. So no shortage of those stories. But there really isn't.
Just open up Twitter.
Tonight with us, we have our long-standing friend, Nathan McCargo. He has done just a lot for both of us in our lives, so we're very thankful to have him on. And we've been talking about it for a long time. How long have we been talking about this podcast, Nathan? How long?
It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been since the beginning.
Yeah, it's been like...
I've lobbed a couple
you sure have.
articles, a couple things your way.
I know a theologian that might have called them evangelical hand grenades.
Oh, gosh.
That's going out to you, Eric Mason.
He's not listening. And that's fine.
Anyway, yes, it is.
He could say wherever.
That's okay.
Right wherever he is.
Our first topic tonight comes from, well, the annals of our country's founding and the national anthem. But not to be outdone by the national anthem you're thinking of in America, the normal one.
The regular one.
We're going to talk about Jill Scott's America tonight. Jill Scott, the R&B singer, was singing at the Essence Festival, and she had a different take on the national anthem. We're going to play it for you. You get to hear it with your own ears, and then we're going to talk a little bit about why this made, I'm going to safely say, why this made all three of us incredibly angry.
Oh, that was my cue?
Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and give that a listen. You're fired.
Ready?
No.
She wrote this when she was 19, everybody.
I'm 51 now, by the way.
As a 19-year-old, she was not a good songwriter.
Oh, say, can you see by the blood in the street?
Can you pause that for a second?
I can do whatever you want.
That would be By the Dawn's Red Light.
Early light.
Early light. Oh, I can't even get it right.
Oh my gosh.
I'm fired.
You're wearing
It's by the Rockets' red glare.
You're wearing a tank top with the American flag on it, and you mess up our national anthem
Well,
right
I'm
after this woman messes it up.
fired.
Jeez Louise.
All right, well, the difference in lines is Blood in the Streets or Dawn's Early Light. Carry on.
Are you going to do this for every line? Or?
No, it's good to contrast.
Okay.
She's only got 2 minutes left.
That this place doesn't smile on you, colored child.
Oh, are you going to comment? I didn't know.
You know what?
I
Honestly,
didn't know what you were doing. You're touching buttons over there. I thought that was my cue.
I'm just so incensed. I should have let it play because there's no reason to do this. Yes.
Okay. All right.
It doesn't shine on you, colored child. That's what she said. Those were her exact words. So.
Whose blood built this land? With sweat and their hands, but you'll die in this place, and your memory reigns. Oh, say, does this truth hold any weight? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slave.
Well, that was. Please edit. Thank you. So where does one begin? Essence Lifestyle Magazine.
1619.
Yes, 1619. Slaves were illegally brought to port in America. The laws of the colony they were brought to declared that you were not allowed to buy or sell a man. That was not the 1619 project. It turns out that was not.
Oh, they didn't teach about that?
No, they didn't. Teach. Regardless, the Essence, the lifestyle magazine that hosted this festival, the Essence Festival, their comment to this was, "Everyone please rise for the only national anthem we will be recognizing from this day forward. Jill Scott, we thank you." Here's the lyrics in case you missed them all. "Jose, can you see by the blood in the streets that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child, whose blood built this land with sweat and their hands, but will die in this place, and your memory erased. Oh, say, does this truth hold any weight? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slaves." That is, according to Essence, the only national anthem we will be recognizing from this day forward.
Who's we?
Essence.
Essence. This is their national anthem.
Yes, this is now the national
What is
anthem
Essence?
of Essence.
What
It
was
a
this event? Can you tell
lifestyle
me?
magazine.
Oh, okay.
It's been around for a long time. You're going to make me Google the actual beginning of Essence. I'm kind of curious. Are we all curious? No.
Well, what's the point of this festival? I'd like to know that. I can answer the question in the anthem, though.
Wait, which question?
Does this truth hold any weight?
Oh, Nathan, do tell. Does this truth hold any weight?
The truth that in this anthem she created, it doesn't. And I can say that firmly from earlier on when she says that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child. This same colored child.
Jill Scott, you mean?
Jill Scott,
Oh.
this same colored child.
Oh.
In her own words, she recalls her happy childhood, saying she was very much a loved child.
Huh. She didn't have a horrible childhood?
I mean, a single mother childhood, which brings in its own struggles and frustration. I get that.
Was she sold into slavery?
I don't see that in her history anywhere. I mean, she was born April 4th, 1972. So I'm going to say.
Oh, I just assumed she was a slave at some point. Wouldn't you have assumed that? You know,
Has she?
listening to
I
this?
feel like she's got to be relatively successful to have made the stage to sing at this event at 51 years old.
I would say so. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you don't make it on stage in huge festivals without having something, and also not also without being paid for it.
So you think she was actually paid for this? Oh heavens!
Oh
heavens!
I mean, if I was in her shoes and they invited me to this festival with my clout and my fan and all of that, I don't know if I wouldn't be asking for a check to step out on stage and perform.
It seems like she has a pretty good net worth, according to the internet.
Was it 14?
12.
Mil?
Looks like
12 mil?
looks like her net worth is 12 million. So
What are the comments on the YouTube? It says the only thing this is missing is Dylan Mulvaney walking around in a bikini drinking Bud Light while she's singing.
oh no, the comments on the YouTubes is not. That'll get you every time.
Either they're deleting the negative comments or there really aren't many, and that's both of those things would scare me.
Well, this was the only one that I found was the full intro plus the singing. There may be there's lots of clips of this on the interwebs. But this is the full...
Yeah, I would imagine it made its rounds.
Yeah. I wrote this at 19. Now I'm 51.
Well, that's my problem. So, okay, when you were younger, you wrote this, but you talk about the childhood as being loved and cared for and all of those things. So which is it? Was it a enslaved childhood that this colored child, this nation doesn't smile on? Or is it a childhood that you were loved and cared for?
Maybe when she said that, she didn't remember her childhood correctly. Maybe she was misremembering her childhood because...
She was erasing the memory of her childhood?
Well,
That's ironic.
Just in a recent...
Erasing the memory of her own childhood?
In her more recent interview with Jamel Hill,
Did
said
nobody get that? Because she said erasing in the song?
erasing the memory.
Okay, all right. Yeah, there we go.
I see now.
I thought I had to connect that dot.
In a previous interview with Jamel Hill, she had said she had considered leaving America due to the racial climate and would look forward to a better education system.
In
Holland.
honestly, comparing our education system, that's probably...
She wanted to go to
She
Holland?
wanted to go to Holland?
Let me see if I can find the article that I read it in.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well...
She said she liked...
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. There are some things you don't have to deal with in other countries. We are looking at Holland. The education is dope. The healthcare is dope. That's a funny sentence right there. The healthcare is dope. There's very few confines on your personality. If you want to go get some A blank blank or buy some A blank blank, ain't nobody tripping on you. I like the idea of people being able to be free as long as you're not harming anybody.
Does she buy that often? I guess she would have to.
I don't know.
At 12 million, you buy whatever you want.
I don't know. There just seems to be a dichotomy in singing a song that indicates a racial group is enslaved while simultaneously being paid to sing it and also be worth more than I will ever sniff in my life. I don't know. I'm fine.
What privilege she has to consider just up and moving to Holland?
Who could do that?
I can't do that.
Right.
Maybe I could. Maybe if I sold everything, I could move. I don't know. Maybe I have. Maybe my house is worth something that would carry weight in Holland. I don't know. I've never been to Holland.
You could work for the United Parcel Service.
They are international. They are global.
In the Holland. I don't know what a Holland is.
A
Hollandaise accent is.
Guten Tag. You were doing fine. You know what? You were doing fine. I liked it. It just feels like it's this general underpinning of critical race Marxism just coming out into a song that is not about... I just feel like this voids the experience of so many people who've actually made something like Jill Scott. Like, this is an incredibly entitled, rich person complaining. Like, how am I supposed to treat that? How should anyone treat that? Why would... Like, at its core, Essence was founded, just so we're on the same page. It's a monthly lifestyle magazine covering fashion, beauty, entertainment, and culture. First published in 1970, the magazine is written for African-American women. How is another African-American woman supposed to read that? If Jill Scott, worth this money, with this fame, with this platform, is a slave, then what does that make any other African-American woman who doesn't even have access to all the things she has access to?
It diminishes hope.
Right.
It diminishes that there is any way that they can get to where Jill Scott is. It forces them to be victims. It forces them to say, she's saying these things at 12 mil And so I can never or will never get to that ability. When she has all the credentials here to be able to say, hey, I took this and turned it into 12 mil in this country, despite whatever a single motherhood what I would have had in a single motherhood, despite any problems I may have had in high school, any problems I may have had in college. I turned all of that into 12 mil, and this is where I am now. She's choosing to view everything in light of victimhood. And then that's what she's presenting to everyone else who shares the same color skin as her.
Right.
She's saying, you are a victim also. There will never be hope for you. You will always see blood running in the streets. You will never avail to anything.
Yeah, there's no hope for you. There's no hope for you. This is not, right, the land of the free. This is the home of the slave. So, I mean, in some ways, this did become the home of the slave. But that home of the slave turned out to be a $12 million R&B singing, songwriting, acting career for Jill Scott.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I'm looking for my. I'm looking for my. Where's my Cinderella story like that? I don't think we can acknowledge.
Well, Dad always said you should have gotten into R&B.
Yeah, he did always say that. He said, what? I think. That's right. Yeah.
Under what name?
Under what name?
Oh,
What's my
man.
R&B name? Man, I'm on the spot right now. I never considered my R&B career.
We'll have to figure that out later. We'll have to announce that on Instagram or something.
Oh, listening to the music stylings. I got nothing. This is sounding creepy. Oh gosh, please don't stop listening. We have more to talk about tonight. Please. I look at the people that I know. So I know I work with a guy at UPS who is a first generation immigrant. He came over very young, super young, like 2 or 3 years old, from Jamaica, him and his family. And he just became a citizen recently. But he's built his whole life here. He's married, 2 beautiful kids in a house bigger than mine, and works incredibly hard. And why are we negating the opportunities that he saw and took advantage of to build a life for himself? Because Jill Scott says everyone is a victim.
Right.
Like, why would we do that? His ethnicity is the same.
Right.
His racial ethnicity is the same as Jill Scott's. Yet I don't even know that I've ever heard the man like complain even about horrible working conditions that we sometimes have at work. Like, he's taken advantage to do what is good for him and his family.
And that's the key. I think that this mentality, this victimhood mentality, teaches and trains you to not take advantage, to stay stagnant, to keep you down. When this is presented to you, you're not presented with, hey, this is how you can. You're presented with, you will never. Meanwhile, let me take advantage and win. You won't. I feel the same way about the BLM movement. What benefit did the BLM movement actually have for people of color in this country? I think they pretty much amplified hurts that were being done, damages that were being done. They amplified them and taught a theology, for lack of a better term, that you will always be a victim and you get behind this movement and we're here to fight for you in this. But what did they actually fight for? What gain came of it other than the gains in their pockets?
None that we can see.
I've not found one yet.
They're declaring bankruptcy and left and right.
So what happened to the millions? What happened to the millions of dollars that was supposed to go to these to these communities? Where is it?
Miss Colors and
Yeah,
Cologne or whatever their name was.
The other one.
Yeah, the other two. They have really nice houses. Their families benefited. They gained generational wealth for them and their families. But they did not care about inner city crime. Mm-hmm. They didn't care about poor neighborhoods of ethnic that had predominantly ethnic residents. They didn't do any of that. They didn't care to address the underlying problem. They wanted to take that narrative, right? That you are going to live out of your victimhood identity. And the only way you're going to gain is to win the victimhood Olympics. That's the only way you gain. You don't actually gain by availing yourself to the opportunities of trying to change what you know and how you work and maybe moving to a different area or making differently. They didn't do any of that, despite the fact that is open to them. That's not what they taught anybody, and they didn't seek to reach into neighborhoods, and they didn't seek to reach into the actual issues of crime. I mean, part of their solutions was to get rid of police, have no policing.
Yeah.
And in what we just talking today, like you can't, like even taking women's rights, like if there wasn't an enforcement mechanism, why would there be women's rights? It's because it's an enforcement mechanism that we want to ensure that women have equal rights. Why would there would be no law if there is not enforcement of that law? You can say there's law in a society, but without the enforcement of it, it doesn't actually mean anything. And so you need to have enforcement of laws. But law itself by BLM was deemed as having racial undertones. So I don't know. I don't know what the net benefit was there. I think breeding out this kind of national anthem, it just serves to make the people at the top. Jill Scott's not going to get any poorer because of this national anthem.
No.
Ain't that the truth?
And that's the problem. Like this doesn't solve any of Jill. This doesn't solve any of the problems Jill Scott's even singing about. Let's grant every premise. She has means to actually address the situation, and part of her solution was to run to Holland.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure when you move to Holland, if you look at the makeup of the population, you'll find it's relatively homogeneous. Like, there's only one kind of people that live in Holland. You ever look at their soccer team? I mean, like, it doesn't look like America's soccer team. I can tell you that right now. Okay? Like, I don't even know what she's trying to say. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I love that. Like, I'm having to mess with Nathan. I'm having to mess with Nathan's volume on his microphone because initially you were quiet, and then like we did the nationally, we played it, and now Nathan's microphone is spiking because his passion is coming out of his voice.
So the issue that I'm having here, and I'm going to try and make it as concise as possible. The issue that I'm having here as a black person, I grew up in a household that we learned value for work. We learned that you don't just get things given to you. Anything that was given to you is given to you by the grace of God and is a blessing on your life. However, everything else you need to work for in your life. I learned to respect police officers and their job, but also be able to tell the difference between someone who's using a role improperly and overstepping,
right,
and being able to push back against that. I know I didn't find out that my parents struggled financially to keep us and my siblings and I in the house that we were in. I didn't know my parents struggled to keep food on the table. I didn't find those things out until I was 20 something. And some of my adult friends told me that, hey, your parents struggled here. Hey, this moment when you had spaghetti and sometimes without meatballs 3 or 4 nights a week. The reason why is because that is all that could be afforded to put on the table. The reason why school lunches looked a certain way, the reason why these things were there, this is why. The reason why you were moved out of Camden City to Franklinville, which I hated at the beginning, is because your parents wanted a better life for you and wanted you out of the inner city and wanted you moved out to a more rural area where you can learn some tangible things, where you can get ducks and learn how to care for ducks and learn how to take care of grounds and mow a lawn and things like that. And the reason why you bounce from school to school to school is because your parents weren't happy with the curriculum that was in the schooling system.
Right.
And so they checked into it and then ultimately landed me in a Christian school. And so all of those things taught me that
Another financial sacrifice. that they're making.
another huge financial sacrifice to the tune of that when I graduated, there was still a balance due.
Right.
And so that got paid and I got my diploma, but inside that envelope, it was empty while the rest of my classmates, their diploma was in that envelope. So I walked, but the balance was due for the schooling. And I don't knock my parents for that or anything like that. I just know the struggle was real for them.
I never do that. I graduated with you at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad the school. Did that.
They honored the fact that I put in the work to graduate.
Right.
They honored that fact, but they also knew that services were rendered, and they also knew my parents because my parents went to the church that the school was in. They knew the struggle, and they were working with them to cover the balance and make sure everything was good. And it was a very short amount of time before I got it. And they actually even allowed me to apply for school with a transcript, knowing that I had completed the schooling, even though the balance wasn't due. So they were working with us in that. But I was taught and learned the principles that you work for what you get. When I asked about getting a cell phone when I was in high school, my parents were like, "Sure, no problem." How
How are you going to pay for that, Nathan?
how are you going to cover the expense of a cell phone? And back then it was the card. So I had to go to the store, buy a card, and then dial the number on the card to load up the minutes on the cell phone to have.
Old school.
Yeah.
You don't know nothing about that. You don't know nothing about that today.
Right. And then the talks of a car. Okay, well, you have to buy a car. You have to have enough funds to cover the gas in the car to get back and forth from where you need to go, the maintenance of the car, and also the insurance on the car, because that's a luxury or something that you would like to have. So you need to work to be able to afford those things. And I think that those are principles that are not being taught in the home, and the concept of working hard for the things that we get is something that I would say is missing in a good portion of the Black community. And it bothers me because it's easy to sit back and say, I can't, for whatever reason. It's very easy to sit back and say that. It's very easy to say, I had this moment of helping an older lady into ShopRite, and she handed me her purse. She was getting out the car, and the police officer that someone else saw me with her purse, the police officer came over and wouldn't talk to me, but would talk to this lady and say, are you all right here? Is everything okay? She was flabbergasted and went off on the police officer for everything that happened. I could have turned that into, this is a systemic issue. This is a huge problem, and I'm done here. I'm not going to continue moving forward. I'm not going to whatever. I'm going to sit back and say, everyone who doesn't look like me now owes me for these situations, being followed in stores and all of these things. I could simply do that, but I understand something that these are all people that God created in His image. And for me, I look at it and say, yes, is there damage done? Yeah, there's damage done. But at the same time, I don't get to take that damage and create an identity that's not God's identity for my life. I don't get to do that.
Right.
And so what I'm hearing out of Jill Scott, what I hear out of Lizzo and all these other artists is that you can aspire to great things. You can make millions in this country. If you step up to the plate, you can go to school, you can learn a lot, you can do all of these things. However, we want you, colored child, to live a life of oppression. We want you, colored child, to not aspire to any of these things. Why? Because we can continue this narrative of oppression. We can continue this narrative that nothing has changed since the abolishment of slavery. Nothing has changed. If we continue that, then we can keep peddling and generating income off of this concept. And that's not where we should be.
No, you're 100% right. And I look at you and your sister and brother, and by the faithfulness of your parents and the grace of the Lord, you're all eons ahead of where your parents were as adults, and they would. I know your mom would say that. I know that your dad, if you were alive, would say the exact same thing. You guys have done that because your parents chose to do that for you, and yet we are supposed to pretend that it's better if you guys had just packed it in, and taken the road of oppression. That's what you should have done.
Yeah.
I mean, just so you know, Nathan, back in July of 2020, the National Museum of African American History and Culture, a Smithsonian-run national museum, did put out the aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture, and listed in that are things like the Protestant work ethic, which is hard work is the key to success, work before play. If you don't meet your goals, you didn't work hard enough. Those thoughts, that's a white thing. So your parents were really just being racists.
So
like an
they,
Uncle Tom, according to
right.
the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
They were teaching us things that went against our culture.
Yeah, that's what they would say. But I just that is such bullcrap. That is such a lie. This is this whole idea is so disgusting. You have to understand. Everyone needs to understand this. The black family, under the laws of the Jim Crow South, was growing, thriving, and flourishing in ways that were even outpacing the white family in the same area, because they followed these things. This is not a white versus black issue. This is a right versus wrong issue, and it is a lie to make it this way, because the statistics do not bear it out. And the irony is, once Lyndon Baines Johnson enacted his presidential edict in the war on poverty, essentially enacting entitlements that destroyed the culture of the black family, as they all sought to undo Jim Crow, which, by the way, rightfully so, sought to undo the Jim Crow laws. They were illegal, but they didn't need to do this. They didn't need the civil rights movement. The government needed to say already, just based off of what Dwight Eisenhower had said, they needed to sit down and say, hey, every state that has these laws, there is no more national funding coming to you. Zero national funding coming to you for anything until you remove these unconstitutional laws. That's all they had to say. They didn't have the stones to do it. And so our legislature, not having the stones to do that, wanted a more PR instead of just doing what they should have done that was right. But regardless, this war on poverty has devastated, and it didn't just devastate the black families that were growing. It devastated all the families. Now single family homes can receive free money from the government to celebrate breaking apart what God has called for the building of a culture. And that's why this song is so hurtful and so offensive, because it's just perpetuating hurt and hardship on people that can do so much more as image bearers of God.
Right. That's also coming from someone who works in social services, and sees the damage done by the concept of entitlement, by the concept of you don't have to. A program named Work First doesn't actually mean that.
Does it mean to work first?
No.
What does it mean?
I mean, we walked through COVID and the millions and millions, billions of dollars handed out while people were making choices to not go to work, actively making choices. There weren't health issues. There were some. I mean, be careful. There were some health issues,
right.
But there weren't the amount of health issues of this was a fearful thing that was set in, and then it was a choice of, no, I'm not going back to work. Why, when the government can give me $1,500, $1,800, $2,000, $3,000 a month in food stamps, also give me an unemployment way more than I could ever make in the current job that I'm making day to day out. Why would I go to work?
Honestly, other than the fact that it's, what you were made to do, we were all designed for work, I would say there's absolutely no material benefit when there's more to be gained from sitting at home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so, which is absolutely asinine that we've created a system that way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I say this all the time to people. I hope and pray for the day that the church removes my job out of the hands of the state. Move it back into the church where it belongs.
That's a fact.
That is where I would flourish so much better in my job, being able to tangibly be able to help people if it was removed out of the hands of the state.
By giving them objective truth. Like,
Exactly.
I'm so sorry. We can't just give you something.
Right.
To not actually work and care for yourself and your family. Like that's not good. That would be just wrong for us to do. Particularly give other people something to you, by the way.
You look at the church in Acts and you see what happened there. And you say, okay, Acts, they dedicated themselves to the things that God asked them to dedicate themselves to. And then they sold and took care of everyone. No one had need. Everyone was covered because that's how God set things up. That's how God designed things to be, where we all cared about each other. We all covered each other. Everybody had need. People were working. People were doing what they needed to do. People had farms. People had everything. And they would sacrifice, hey, this person fell in hard times. Let's step in here and help them out. Let's do this. Let's do that. And that's exactly where we as a country would flourish extremely well if we shifted back towards the things of God. And especially when it comes to, I will use the term African American community, although I don't agree with that term. I will use that term. I think the African American community, if shifted towards the things of God, they would see flourishing happening in their lives, because they would be moving away from this concept of the government is their God, moving away from the concept that I am my own God. They'd be moving towards God is God, and the things of God are actually better things for us than the things this world has for us.
Right.
Yep.
Amen. I don't know.
Agreed.
That's correct. everything that guy said is right. Everything he said. Jesse's just been trying to look up statistics on Holland this whole time.
Did you find anything exciting or interesting? Or
over 81.7% of the population are Dutch, and there are only about 9%. Only about 9% of their population are non-Western in origin.
Yes, that's correct. There is Middle Eastern in there, but
Turks, Moroccans, Antillians, Surinamese, and Indonesians.
yes. Now the bottom 10% is made up of all other ethnic groups. So all other ethnic groups fall in the bottom 10%. So we've outlined 90% of the population, right? And then you'd stick just so Jill Scott knows she's gonna be very obvious when she arrives in Holland.
well, you can't miss Jill Scott though.
No,
You can't.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
no.
I was going to
put
say
that-
in more way than one.
Oh no!
I'm gonna put that out there.
Oh,
Her
just
and Lizzo would make a great
Well-
team over there.
guten Tagen. No,
Never mind. Nope.
that is not. I can't do. I can't do the Holland accent.
I was going to ask a question about the populace of Holland and their makeup weight-wise.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think they serve. I don't think everything's fried in Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they probably have lots of other greens too as well.
Yeah.
They're really an agricultural society.
Yeah, yeah.
They do have a
density.
density of population, but that's not about weight.
That's wrong. That's wrong. At this point, we should briefly just run through our second story. That was awesome to break that down. We were all. I remember hearing it. I'm like, I'm sending this to Nathan right now.
I had to pull the car over. Don't text and drive, please, by all means. But when something comes across your phone like that, you have to pull the car over.
PSA: Don't text and drive. Texting and driving is not good. Our second story combines two stories. Little known fact. First one's a little known fact that you probably didn't know. Did you know, Jesse? Nathan, did you know that in July, the Department of Justice quietly removed from its database issues of concern, child sex trafficking? Yes, specifically, it removed significant portions of its pages on child sex trafficking including, quote, international sex trafficking of minors, quote, domestic sex trafficking of minors, and, quote, child victims of prostitution. That's intriguing, isn't it?
Begs the
Well, I
question,
mean, why care about any of those demographics?
Yeah, it's like, why would you? Why would you? How many bytes of data did you just save? Like, really, was it worth it? Was it worth it to? I mean, I'm sorry. Is anyone else thinking anything other than our government wants to traffic children? Like,
I'm kind of feeling that way. I felt that way for a long time.
yeah. Once they lost 600,000 of them as they crossed the border, unaccompanied minors that they handed off into the care of caretakers that now they can't find.
Well, let's not forget that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. That's still true. What happened to that list? Did you ever find out what happened to that list?
Oh, the list that the government has that nobody can know about.
Oh man, that's curious.
Bummer. We can't know that. Maybe
That
we'll
is
find.
curious.
Let's play a game. What will we find out more? What's actually in the COVID vaccine or Jeffrey Epstein's list?
There's so many things.
I think the COVID vaccine's at least 70 years out. Didn't they hide that for like?
Yeah, let's play another game. What will we find out more of? The COVID
Just enough
vaccine,
time for everybody to die.
the COVID vaccine, or what's in the manifesto of the transgender terrorist that killed 3 children and 3 staff in Tennessee?
See, but the Covenant School it doesn't. Some of the people there don't want it released.
Yeah,
That's why they're holding it
they're
up.
being kind. They're being kind, and actually, the public has there is a level that. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but yes, there are some of the victims that are not wanting it released, and I do believe that is kindness on their part. But at some point, you have to let the public actually know.
Well,
what's
it's a
happening
little bit of
wrong.
kindness, a little bit of naivete.
Either way, back to this article. They've removed things from their website. Again, we're talking about specifically international sex trafficking of minors. Kind of, I think everyone's on board. Evil.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Everybody here, at least everybody in this room, 3 out of 3 agree. Domestic sex trafficking of minors. So that would be, sex trafficking inside America. Also,
that sounds pretty bad to me.
okay. All right. And child victims of prostitution. We all.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Yep,
You
okay.
shouldn't do that to kids.
We're all agreeing that is wrong, yet we're pulling it down from the issues of concern portions of our webpage.
Well, maybe they fixed the problem.
Oh, the Department of Justice they fixed this?
Maybe they did. Maybe they're like, you know what? We fixed it. We don't need it on our website.
So you're saying in a week or so we're going to get new pages that articulate how that happened. That they
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, no.
Got you.
Right after they tell us what's in the
Well, I
COVID
mean,
vaccine.
They're
according
probably
to
going to need to finish prosecuting the January 6 people first. They don't have time for anything.
I mean, according to this article, it was an arduous process for them to remove these pages. So
Yeah, WordPress is really hard to run.
It took several lawyers for this to happen. So if it took several lawyers for this to happen, there's a lot of people who are agreeing that this information should not be up. And the question is why? Why do we not need this information anymore? Why don't we need this information?
Because of Jeffrey Epstein's list.
This is just a bad look. Now, I do want to point out they began doing this back in May, so it's been a full month, but it does coincide
It's like
with
2 months.
Right, because it's July.
Yeah.
It does coincide with a movie about sex trafficking that was beginning to use its limited resources to market around that time. That would be the movie The Sound of Freedom. So if you've seen
Poor
this-
optics.
Yeah, it does seem a little like...
Oh, that's that QAnon movie, right?
Yeah.
I saw that on the QAnon 4chan.
What? Like the future? Fortune?
No, 4chan.
Oh, what's that?
You don't know what 4chan is? Do you really not know what 4chan is?
Yeah, I know what 4chan is. I was trying to get you to explain it for people that may not know that 4chan is just this underground dark portion of the dark web where people chat.
I mean, I don't know if it's... Is it in the dark web?
No, you can get to it by the regular web, but it feels dark. And it is on the interweb.
Oh, look, I can go to 4chan.org.
Oh, perfect.
Look at that. Oh, see, it's just a bulletin board where people can post things.
I want to hear everybody. You know what? Never mind. We do not have time for that rabbit hole. Not going down that rabbit hole.
Video games and stuff.
Yeah, video games. So it's
Sure.
not. It's not about any of these conspiracies.
No, it's just like, just normal people posting stuff.
Thank heavens.
You know what? I take it back.
Oh, no. Are you on a new area of 4chan?
No, it's just still the video games.
Oh, no. Okay. So the DOJ removes this key piece of information. As The Sound of Freedom, actually, while being released in smaller theaters, did have a one-day revenue over the same 4th of July weekend that was greater than the release of the Indiana Jones one-day revenue, which is very interesting. Now, I believe overall, inside domestic box offices, Indiana Jones has eclipsed Sounds of Freedom, although it is released on twice as many theater screens than Sounds of Freedom. You would expect it to make more money. However, it's going to be a net loser at the box office as the difference in production values was about like 200%. So you're looking at like $200 million invested in one versus like $60 million in the other. So it's like a big difference in actually generating revenue for a movie. And that's not even counting how much money was put into marketing for the movie most recent Indiana Jones movie. And God bless Harrison Ford. That man can still move. Just in general, moving, I think, is pretty good at his age.
Sound of Freedom's still doing pretty well. Even today, which is what, a Sunday?
This is a Sunday.
They grossed 9. Is that today or is that?
That's got to be cumulative, right?
No, because total gross is over here.
Yeah, so they today grossed more. Look at that. That's impressive.
By $6 million over Indiana Jones.
Yeah, they came in on second only to the most recent Mission Impossible movie, which also, since it's not going to be preaching at you about its values, is probably going to do okay at the box office.
Right. I mean, Indiana Jones's gross is $145 million, and Sound of Freedom's is only $85. Let me see if I can find that. Here,
So-
you keep talking. Let me see if
Okay,
I can find the production
I'm
cost.
going to continue talking. These stories are diametrically opposed because The Sound of Freedom, now, regardless of what you believe about who Angel Studios or the people behind making it, it does speak to an actual evil, which we've all agreed here in this room, at least, that these things, human trafficking, international sex trafficking, domestic sex trafficking, child prostitution, these are all just evil. They're wrong. They're gross. They're gross actions by evil, moral people. Immoral people. Immoral. That's the word I'm looking for. Immoral people. And that should be something that you'd think our Department of Justice feels like it's in the name. It's not the Department of Sewer and Water. It's the Department of Justice. Is removing those exact issues as a movie that is having what some people would say are conservative values, or what Rolling Stones would call QAnon conspiracies. The Rolling Stones review of the movie.
Rolling Stones.
Yes, the Rolling Stones review of the movie.
They're a movie?
I've heard that they're a magazine publication, and they
That reviews movies.
Apparently.
Oh. I didn't know that.
It's also a rock band, so you could see why that's conflicting.
Huh.
You'd think they could stick in their lane, drugs, sex, and rock and roll, but no, they've branched out into reviewing movies. Their review, by the way, if you get a chance, you should read Rolling Stone's review of Sound of Freedom, which is this: Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms. What kind of title is that? The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. Wow, like, who wrote this? All right, let me just. Miles Klee, that is the name of the author. Let's just scroll down to the old bio of Miles Klee. I got to get answers here. Come on. Oh, there's no bio at the bottom? Oh, I feel cheated. Let me click on your name, Miles Klee. You got to give me information about who you are. Oh, thank heavens. He has an about page. Miles Klee is a culture writer at Rolling Stone, covering the weirder parts of the internet, like sex trafficking movies that want children to be free. From extreme fandoms and conspiracy theories, it's his job to talk about isn't he a QAnon guy? Conspiracy theories to micro-celebrities and the latest viral memes. He's also the author of a novel called Ivyland. That's one to not put on the reading list. And a story collection called True False. That's a really boring name, bro. Come on. Miles is based in Los Angeles. We all saw that coming. Thanks, though. Anyway, Miles Klee, writer of ridiculous headlines, has a lot to say about how horrible this movie is. In one section, he talks about Ballard, who is the agent the movie is based off, whose life the movie is based off. He says Ballard himself has dabbled in Q-adjacent conspiracy theories, such as the Wayfair trafficking hoax, while his organization has far-right affinities and a long record of distorting its botched raids, which rely on bizarre tactics like asking psychics where to find victims for rescue.
Sounds like they really liked the movie.
Yeah, I was just like, I keep reading. I'm like, okay,
It's a must-see.
He's going to give us where he got that information from. And I scroll to the bottom.
Yeah.
Bottom. I've got no footnotes here, people.
So we
I
have-
got nothing.
So we have a movie based on a real life story, a real person, and then we have a person saying that it's conspiracy with no actual facts or anything to support, no studies, no anything to support the conspiracy, and then we have the DOJ removing similar subjects from their website at the same time.
Yeah, so this movie's bad, but we can't deal with sex trafficking. I don't understand. It's like, I get a brainworm trying to figure out what's going on with this crap. Like, what is we trying? What exactly was your point, Mr. Klee? I don't get it.
Is he afraid that we are going to understand maybe some darker history, or are we going to understand things that we need to understand so that we're not being a support of the sex trafficking industry? Is that his concern, or is that the DOJ's concern that maybe if we watch this movie, we then will go out in the DOJ and see information there and maybe
Become
pressure
a sex trafficker? Like, what are we going to do?
I don't know. I don't.
I mean, I talked to some people that seen the movie. They don't seem to want to be sex traffickers. They seem to want to stop sex trafficking. That seems to be the indication. They're like, oh no, we need to do something.
Not a lot of maps go into this movie.
No, I've actually talked to people who feel guilty now.
Right.
They're like, I feel guilty. I'm not doing enough.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? If a movie makes you feel guilty enough to actually engage with a gross evil like sex trafficking, that's great. Like, go ahead, get involved, please. There's many of good Christian organizations you can get involved with that have been trying to turn people away from the sex industry and sex slavery for a long time. Do that. Like, so, like,
Yeah.
But I haven't talked to anybody who's like, oh man, I saw that Sounds of Freedom movie and it made me want to enslave a teenage woman. Like, no one. That's not what happens. This is not a thing.
So does the DOJ not want to be involved with trying to get rid of sex trafficking anymore?
It does sound like they have other issues, quote unquote, issues of concern.
Like,
Are we affecting
Equity.
Are we affecting their finances any by fighting against sex trafficking?
Oh, see, now you're going down the QAnon route, and I would have to say probably. Like, that's probably absolutely. Like, what am I supposed to think? You remove it from your website and say it's a QAnon conspiracy, but you've removed it from your website, which makes me only want to say
it's totally real.
you're probably sex traffickers. Like,
Right.
I don't. You can't do that. You can't.
It's the only way to get the terrorists, Justin.
You can't do that.
I have some numbers for us, by the way. So Sound of Freedom's budget was estimated at $14.5 million. Now their total box office sales as of now is $85.5 million. So they have netted $71.5 million. Indiana Jones's budget was $300 million. And they have their worldwide box office, so that's including international and domestic, has gotten them $302 million. They have netted $2 million compared to Sound of Freedom's $71 million.
Well, it sounds like they may have oversold or overbit. But don't worry, it'll come to stream. It'll be on streaming soon. You can catch that on the streaming.
Catch it on Disney Plus. I heard they made Indiana Jones gay.
If you're willing to pay, for a subscription.
Sorry.
Harrison Ford would have none of that. Stop it right now.
I don't know.
Stop it. Harrison Ford, you know what? I'm not getting into that. Regardless, you can't tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist for wanting to end sex trafficking while you simultaneously remove sex trafficking from your issues of concern globally.
Here's the thing. If you start calling me a QAnon conspiracy theorist, I'm just going to assume that you personally are involved in sex trafficking. Just don't tell me.
What am I supposed to think?
Just don't tell me.
You saw that Sons of Freedom movie, you QAnon's conspiracy theorist?
I might start pulling out weapons.
Yes, I may have seen that, you sex trafficking disgusting person. I may have seen that.
Where are the girls, John? Where are the girls?
Oh my gosh!
Jeez Louise.
I find this story as humorous as it is incredibly disturbing.
Well, this is why equal weights and measures are so important. And like we get our minds all thrown into a tizzy when the world does these absolutely asinine things, and for good reason, right? But we need to make sure that when we're discussing things with people, when we are in a heated argument with somebody, or when we're really trying to press a point, we really need to make sure that we don't do this. Like we don't have duplicitous arguments. We don't have hypocritical arguments. That we stand on the truth and let the truth speak for itself. Because sometimes I think we like to try to get fancy with people, and we don't need to get fancy. We just need to get true and get real with people in order to combat their arguments. And like I just feel like sometimes when the world is just so insane, like we have to go overboard with responding to things. We don't really. I mean, the truth's very simple. I mean, child trafficking is an evil, and whoever engages in it should die. And that's just the way that it is. If our government doesn't care about that, then, well, we'll be judged for that, and God will protect his remnant, the church, and our nation. Somehow. And that's just the way it's going to be. I don't know. I don't think that any of what I just said made sense, so that's fine.
No, I appreciated all of what you
started
said.
talking, and then I'm like, wait, why am I talking again?
You were trying to make sure people don't get trapped into the same kind of illogical, duplicitous arguments that they're trying to make. Like, oh, you're a QAnon conspiracist, and also we're going to take this down from our website about justice. Like, those things can't be true at the same time. You're the ones who are clearly sex traffickers at this point. Like, also, I do want to call out Mr. Klee as being incredibly ageist.
I'm not surprised.
Quote from the article: "Sounds of Freedom lives up to its anticipation. It's a stomach-turning experience, fetishizing the torture of its child victims and lingering over lush preludes to their sexual abuse." Here's the reality, by the way. I have not. I'm going to say that I have not seen this movie, but I talked to someone who has a relatively, I'm going to say, squeamish disposition towards things of that nature. And they were amazed that they didn't use anything graphic, but you felt like everything was evil. Like you felt it, like a Hitchcock movie, that this was just evil. The reason they focus on the preludes, you moron, is because they're not going to show you the disgusting abuse children faced, you dummy. Continuing on in the article, at times I had the uncomfortable sense that I might be arrested myself just for sitting through it, and given your clear duplicitous nature in defending sex trafficking, maybe you should. Nonetheless, here's where he gets it. The mostly white-haired audience around me could be relied on to gasp, moan in pity, mutter condemnations, applaud, and bellow amen at moments of righteous fury, as when Ballard declares that, quote, God's children are not for sale. They were entranced by what they clearly took for a searing expose. Not even the occasional nasty coughing fit, and we had no shortage of those, could break the spell. Dude, why do you hate old people, dude?
So wait a second. This guy's sitting in a theater full of people who are getting the exact opposite reaction as him, and he thinks he's the normal one?
That's correct. He's the one. They're the ones that are messed up. Right. Well, because they're old. They're mostly white-haired.
Right.
So they're obviously evil.
Well, I'm no-haired.
Yeah.
Well, it's the world in which
and also
we live.
white-haired.
It's the world in which we live, though. 1% is who's correct.
That's true. They don't write for Rolling Stone.
I wonder if this guy's a part of the World Economic
Do you know
Forum.
that to be fact?
No, I mean the old people.
The old people don't write.
Yeah,
No. They don't have to.
I mean, this guy obviously tries to, but
Right. Again, a music.
writing is
Rolling
like
Stone music. It's not.
Miles Klee does sound like a name that could be related to Klaus Schwab. I'm just saying.
Hey, they better go hop in the truck. We gotta go pick up Miles Klee.
I didn't see that coming.
Sorry, it makes me think of some type
Well, that's where we're going to have to break this podcast off.
gotta go pick up Miles.
Hopefully this has been...
Get in this Chevy, Miles. Sorry, I got this stuff.
Hopefully you've enjoyed episode 120. We're just really grateful to have Nathan on with us. Finally, we got to make it happen.
Finally.
So we can scratch this off the bucket list for us. We can scratch this one off. And Nathan's like, hold it on. Oh.
Wrong one. Nope.
You'll get this right one day. After 120 episodes in.
Yeah, I don't know which one.
We should label those
You
buttons.
really should. Now looking at them from this side.
Oh, heavens. Nonetheless, we're really grateful to have you on, and I think this was a really good time. Hopefully, this was enjoyable for you as the listener, and you've been encouraged this day to no, don't do it. to follow the Lord in faithfulness. But we wanted to also announce our upcoming series, which you're going to absolutely love.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at at least 6 weeks of hard-hitting education content.
6-ish.
6-ish. Potentially 6 to 7-ish.
You're going to like the people we talk to.
Oh, yeah. We're doing a recap, by the way. We finally have some hard data out, released by the by the New Jersey education system on what the fallout from our very first episode, in which we covered the new health guidelines for sexual education in public school system, which included things like teaching 7th and 8th graders about very bad sexual things. And then younger kids about
things 7th
also,
and 8th graders shouldn't do.
Yes, and also things that kindergartners don't need to know about sex. Turns out they should probably work on spelling and phonics and such. But nonetheless, we have some data out on that. It is not good. It shows exactly what you'd think it would show. But we also, to then couple with that, are going to speak to some people inside of public education. We're going to speak to some people inside of Christian education. We're going to speak to some people inside of secondary Christian education, as well as homeschooling. And these are going to be some great interviews that are really going to hopefully give you tools you need to not ever let your child be coerced into this evil by the public school system. Amen?
Amen. And we're gonna launch a shirt. We're gonna have some sales. There's stuff.
Lots of sales.
There are things happening that even I have no idea what's
Like,
going
here's
on.
the deal. We're walking towards G3, which is like
not hard.
It's a big thing. It requires a lot for us. We have full-time jobs, full-time families, full-time pastor. We have a lot going on, but we are really excited
Somebody
about
have a part-time family? Don't answer. Don't answer that question.
Don't answer
Don't
that.
answer it.
But we're putting all of that on hold to really push this out. There's going to be sales on our other shirts. There's a brand new Education is Warfare shirt, and it is going to be fire. You're going to want that one, bro.
I mean, I want it. And
Yes,
I'm making it.
That's it. But additionally, what are some of the guests we have on, Jess? You want to give some?
Are we doing it?
Just roll out some names, man. Get the people ready.
All right. So we've got Nikki Truesdell in the homeschooling world. We've got
She's an author of a book
called Anyone Can Homeschool.
which is why she's going to be great to have on to talk about how you too, if you wanted to, could homeschool.
Yes, we learned a lot from her.
It was awesome.
fantastic, actually. We have Liz Urbanowitz that will be coming on. She wrote Foundation's Worldview Curriculum.
A
and
former educator inside, I believe, the public school system. I believe that's where she taught. She definitely was inside. She was an educator, and then she kind of pulled out of that and was like, "We need something for the church," which was awesome. Foundation's Worldview is awesome. Amen.
Amen. It was
We
really great.
use that at our
used it for
church.
She's written some lower elementary ones as well. That's going to be an awesome conversation. We have Ben Merkel from New St. Andrews College going to be talking to us about Christian higher education. And then we've got some church members we're going to interview also with some of their wacky experiences in the public school to try to, again, and still dissuade you from engaging that route.
Yes, the public school system of New Jersey, which is a cesspool and evil, and also similar to probably public schools near you.
It's kind of like the Moss Isley of education.
It's not. I mean, there's also California.
hive of scum and villainy.
We're like Tatooine.
It's a wretched hive of Moss Isley's on Tatooine.
It's on Tatooine. I know. It's so screwed. We're just done. We can't do it. Anyway, look forward to that. That's coming up. We wanted to let you know that before we ended this episode. Now, with that, dear Christian, we would like to encourage you this day to seize the faith.